Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. The world according to President Obama. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Some people I know were upset by the State of the Union address last night, believing that Barack Obama is not doing the right thing for the country. But to me, the president is consistent. His liberal view of the world was on full display. So my question is, what did you expect? Simply put, President Obama believes the federal government should give stuff to people who don't have very much and take stuff from the affluent and business. That is a core liberal tenet in this country. It's never going to change. Also, it's clear the president does not want to confront Islamic terrorism in a major way. He devoted only 2 minutes to it last night.
We will continue to hunt down terrorists and dismantle their networks, and we reserve the right to act unilaterally, as we have done relentlessly since I took office, to take out terrorists who pose a direct threat to us and our allies.
The president once again talking about terrorists, not Islamic terrorists. He refuses to define the issue that way. Also, ISIS is firmly entrenched now in Syria and Iraq and expanding in other places. They are murdering people daily. And if you think we're winning that situation, you're nuts.
Instead of getting dragged into another ground war in the Middle East, we are leading a broad coalition, including Arab nations, to degrade and ultimately destroy this terrorist group.
Arab nations? Give me a break, Mr. President. Just 5 of them are opposing ISIS in any meaningful way. Once again, the Obama administration has no strategy to defeat the jihad. America simply reacts to whatever the terrorists do and laments. Mark my words, this is a dangerous strategy, and it's only a matter of time until we get hit. Now, on the home front, the reason Barack Obama remains fairly popular in the country is that many Americans feel they are not being treated fairly. Certainly, the minority communities believe that, and some white Americans are frustrated with their standing as well. Money is tight, good jobs are hard to get, and we Americans want a lot of material things. Problem is, we don't have much money. Wages have fallen significantly during President Obama's tenure. He will tell you that's because he inherited a terrible recession. But I will tell you, the wage situation is due to the expansion of high tech in the marketplace, where machines replace people, and the high cost of doing business in the USA. Obamacare has constricted hiring, we all know that. Federal regulations make it far more difficult for businesses to start up. And high taxation drains profit. Remember, the USA now has the highest corporate tax in the world, and President Obama wants more. The result? Fewer good jobs and plenty of applicants to fill them. That means salaries go down. Yes, the general economy is getting a bit better thanks to the falling oil prices, but that doesn't mean more money for workers. Only business expansion, where employers need labor, need people, will drive salaries higher. President Obama doesn't seem to understand macroeconomics. And that's why, when he says he's looking out for the folks, it kind of rings hollow. The president's entitlement jihad, if you will, cannot replace upward mobility driven by private sector good jobs. Bottom line, it's easy to give a speech saying things are great. All presidents do that. The truth is, we are not defeating the Islamic terrorists, and America is not creating enough good-paying jobs to drive wages higher. And that's the memo. Now for the top story, reaction. Joining us from Chicago, Austin Goolsbee, former economic advisor to President Obama, now teaches at the University of Chicago. So I assume you saw the Wall Street Journal's chart today showing how income has dropped under Mr. Obama's administration. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I saw that. Thanks for having me back, Bill.
Sure.
You know, I saw it was a continuation of what has been a 15-year-plus trend. I don't think that argues against making investments in education and what you called the entitlement jihad, but I think of as pretty important investments. If the middle class is not getting more skill and getting the kind of stuff that's going to allow them to make more money, I think we're setting ourselves on a path like what they did in Europe. But you know, in response to the crisis in Europe, what they did is say, we need austerity. We need to cut everything. And
Well,
if
I don't think we
cutting
need
tax
that,
rates
but
was going to be
look,
the miracle, it should have worked in the 2000s, but the graph showed it went down then too.
Okay, but in 2007, there was a huge spike in wages in this country under President Bush, and things were perking along pretty well, and then the mortgage-backed securities collapsed and the recession began. But you're being theoretical, and I'm being realistic. All right, so if I were teaching your class today or tomorrow, I would say, listen, the president's view is that the federal government should control all of this education, stimulation, all of this. My view is that you have to let the private sector operate. So, for example, I would lower the corporate income tax drastically in this country, all right, to encourage businesses to expand. President Obama wants to raise the capital gains tax. That will mean less investment in companies. That's not going to lead to expansion. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's either private sector stimulation.
I think you're getting it backwards. I think you're getting it wrong. First of all, let me say, if you ever want to come teach my class, you are welcome. I'll have you any day of the week.
Yeah, but then they'd all drop you, and then they'd be, come on.
But the president outlined that he agrees with you that we should cut the corporate rate and broaden the base. We have the highest rate on the books in the world.
Yeah, but he doesn't do it. He doesn't introduce anything to that extent. Democrats don't want to do that. They want to tax more. Look, we have a fundamental disagreement here. I believe that the private sector has to drive the economy, and the president doesn't.
I agree with that.
You may, but he doesn't. He wants the feds to do it. Now, let's turn over into terrorism, and this ties directly into the economy, because if we get hit again, and you know this, the markets are going to go wild, and it's a serious situation. I'm looking at the big picture here, and I'm seeing that, did you know, Professor, that last week, 15 young boys were shot to death in Mosul, Iraq by ISIS fanatical killers. 15. And you know what they did? Do you know what they did?
What?
They watched a soccer game. Okay? These people, ISIS, took thousands of miles of territory, of land, without the president even knowing about it. And now he goes on television and says, we've stopped them. They stopped them from going into Baghdad. That is true. But they're in Mosul, and they're all over the place, and they're murdering people at all, and we have no strategy to defeat them. And then he has the gall to tell us Arab nations have aligned with him when maybe they have 4 planes in the air. I mean, this is just scary to me.
I don't know. I mean, what do you want them to do you want? I disagree that there's no strategy. But
tell me what it is, then I'm ready to believe you. What's the strategy?
Let's go get back in another war. The economy cannot handle
don't tell me
that.
what don't do. Don't tell me don't do. Tell me what his strategy to defeat ISIS and the other Islamic terrorists is. What is it?
Look, I think the strategy that worked the first time around in Iraq was identifying to the people there. There's a massive, within the religion of Islam, between the Shias and the Sunnis, and a lot of mess that has been many centuries in the making. Getting Muslims to identify, look, the people that are getting killed are your own people.
So that's the strategy to depend on
the West should
the strategy is to depend on the Muslim world to defeat ISIS. That's the strategy.
Not to depend on them, to incorporate them. That's the neighborhood where this is happening.
The president asked the Arab world to help us, and 5 of them showed up. 5 of them.
Look, if they're the right 5, that's all you need.
No, it's not all you need.
People who are most effective.
They got 4 planes and a kite. I mean, come on. Come on, there's no strategy.
It's a super kite. What do you mean, Bill? Look, is the alternative that we put U.S. ground troops over there?
It's not a matter of either or.
That's a strategy to make us targets, not to get us out of there.
I would not start another land war, but we have no strategy to defeat them, and they are killing people, and they're going to come and get us, and you wait and see. Hey, Doctor, always good to have you. A very good debate. Thank you. Next on the